Hey guys, here's my gear. Same UK Gillette Tech vintage model that I've used the last few shaves. Love it. This is a Maseto 24mm Silvertip brush. Memphis handle, black color. Like it as well. Been soaking for a few minutes. In the razor I'm going to put a Gillette Silver Blue. It's been used a few times. And today's soap has been soaking for just a couple minutes in water. And it is a fine Accoutrements. Santal Absolut, one of my all-time favorites. And so that's why it's in this cool mug and it's always up in my basket. Oh man, that's a good smell. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and load the razor before I get my hands wet. And that way I won't get this paper envelope of the blade wet. The dots there on the envelope, I think there were 4 of them, shows how many times I've used it. This is not the one that I'm taking as far as it can go. My marathon blade is, I think it's got 30 uses or something like that on it. But to do testing, things like that, if I bring in a new razor, I don't really, sometimes I do test marathon blades on it, but I will definitely test new, younger blades on it too, because that's what most people shave with. Sometimes there's a difference. All right, get this brush in the water one last time. Get some water on my face. I did shave 12 hours ago, and so I'm not looking at a, 14 hours ago. I'm not looking at a lot of growth as usual because I went to sleep last night, so I ended up shaving this morning. Well, now it's night. All right. So what I'm going to do is pour out the water that I think I'm going to need to build this lather into my lather bowl. And then I'm going to pour out the rest into the sink. So we're just loading on top of a very wet puck. And it's nice to know that bloom water there that's now in the bowl didn't go to waste. You can also use that to kind of wash your face before a shave, for instance. Oh, the 0 rolled around. So I am going to load now for, let's do it for 25 seconds. I loaded for 55 seconds, I think, the other day. Same brush. And I ended up with 10 passes of lather. It was crazy. What did I say? The 0? Okay, that's 25. I think the 0 is what came around. All right, well, there we go. Oh, man, that's one of my favorite smells. The Velabra company made the Art of Shaving tallow soap years ago. It was a very popular soap. And it got discontinued. But this is pretty much the same scent. So if you're a fan of that one, then I get this one. They used to sell just the pucks, and you could just chuck it in a mug like that. But and there's still a few of those around, but they are being discontinued, it seems. But otherwise, you can just buy the plastic cup tub that it comes in, and huck it out of there and put it in a cup mug if you have one, or keep it in the plastic tub. All right. So today is battle number 4. Between Fine Accoutrements and Stirling. They both make wonderful soap bases that I'm very happy with. I have almost all of the Fine soaps, and I have a good many Stirling soaps. I just like them so much. Great bases. Stirling is a crope. It's a firm crope. It's a cross between a cream and a soap. It's not a hard soap like the Fine is. And so Fine will likely give you more shaves per gram. Of course, this started out really bubbly because I was working with that watery mix. But we'll just stir it until that bubbliness kind of goes away. Somebody asked me online on a YouTube comment, which one do you like better, Stirling or Fine? And I really like them both so much. I've never really done a direct comparison. I thought, let's do it. Let's have a little lather war. These are budget soaps. I figured out that the 1350 tub of Stirling, 5.8 ounces, will last me, because I use a bowl, it helps to conserve soap. It'll last me 13 months. That's crazy, right? So I took the weight of the Fine, the mug there, when dry. I'm going to log that into my computer program, and so after I put maybe 15 uses on that mug, I'll be able to project how long a puck of Fine soap will get me. And sure enough, look right here, that bubbliness is gone. Wonderful, creamy looking lather right now. Definitely going to have plenty of lather to do the job today. So this is battle 4. Battle 1 was me using the Fine soap that I overloaded by a good margin. And I kept adding water while it was on the face, and it just kept causing me to add more water. And so that probably made the cream, the resulting lather, a little more creamy than it might normally have been. So that's what we're doing today, because in between these 2 battles, 1 and 4, I did 2 battles with Stirling. The first Stirling was too thin. I overwatered it. And then last night this morning, was really nice. It was a creamy Stirling lather that was tremendous. See what kind of elasticity we can get with the Fine soap. Oh, that's gorgeous. It can actually go a little wetter than this. But let's feel this and see kind of what it feels like. That's really nice. Something I came away with after the first 2 battles was that I like the Stirling better. The layer of protection it lays down on your skin, and so contact to contact, I like the Stirling better. But when I'm just kind of holding the lather and move it around a little bit, if I have a bunch of lather between my hands and I'm just working it, or it's on my face, that sort of thing, and the feel of it, which is a less practical aspect to think about, because it's the razor gliding across is probably related to that contact type of slickness. But regarding the cushiony aspect, I kind of like the feel of the Fine better. Just creamier. And so that's really, that was a little odd. But we're talking nuances here. Both wonderful soap bases that I'm just a huge fan of. I think I will put another ½ teaspoon in. And I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to give you the perfect recipe for this, because, you know, I did pour that bloom water in to the bowl, and that means that a little extra soap was added too, instead of just 25 seconds, because that bloom water contains some soap material. Well, definitely have plenty. Smells great. It's pretty much authentic type of sandalwood smell, maybe with a musk or something mixed in with it. I don't really know for sure. I think it's pretty straight sandalwood. right now, just making sure I got a nice even mix. That feels really good. Man, it's, you know, and I also entertain the idea that I may walk away from this comparison with it be a draw, with it being a draw. I guess what I was trying to say, and have it be a draw, and I mixed my sentence up there. Let's add some water to my face. Now the fact that I'm shaving with less growth than I did with the recent Stirling shave is kind of immaterial, because the feel of the lather, the slickness of the lather, those are the attributes I'm focused on, not really the comfort of the blade. I mean, the razor does need to glide nicely across my face. And this brush is a Silvertip from Maseto, and you can get those on eBay. I think that's the only way I've seen to get them, online at least. I'm very happy with them. I've got a Finest from them, as well as this 3-band Silvertip. Now look at what's going on here. You can kind of see the puffiness. You can kind of see a little bit of pitting as I'm moving it around. That's often a sign of a lather that needs water. So I'm going to take some of this lather actually on the side of the brush and rake it into the bowl, because I guarantee you I'm going to be generating some lather here. See, there we go. So I'm going to do some more raking, because as you can see, my cheek is filled with lather. I stopped a little too soon. Man, that's a good looking lather. And I have put 1.5 teaspoons on my face just now, just in adjustments, just in tweaks. You know, one thing you can do, and look, see, I've been raking off the lather, but it keeps building up. You can go on your face, rake off a good chunk, put it back in your bowl. Look at that huge chunk down there. Because I've got plenty of lather on my brush. I'll refill my syringe. Just keep going until you see the lather change. I like to tilt my head over so the brush tips are pointing down. Keeps that added water in with the lather instead of slipping out the handle of the brush. As you can see, I am just, that's just 25 seconds of loading. You know what I'm going to do? Watch this. I'm going to take my whole face of lather, put it in the bowl. Rinse my hand off. And you'll be able to see and feel when it gets lighter. When it starts to get really well hydrated. When you do this painting motion, that's when it's especially a good way to identify your properly hydrated lather. When you rake across a few times and all you see is kind of consistency without globs, without pitting, without clumps, then you're really close, if not there already. And look at that, I scraped off my whole face and I've still got plenty. Let's add just a little bit more water, and I think we'll probably work with this. Some people even prefer it wetter than this. That's the nice thing about good soaps like Fine and Stirling. You can add a bunch of water to it. And it'll be all right. I see, look. Oh man, it was just 25 seconds of loading, but even that looks like it was too much. I'll rinse off the handle so it stops being quite as slippery. I like my lathers really hydrated. I think that helps to have less residue on the razor as I'm rinsing, and so it's easy to clean. I think it makes the lather more hydrated and slick, so I get a nice clean cut. All kinds of good reasons to use a nice wet lather. You need less product. Well, you can see I haven't used my Fine lather in a while because 3 days ago I used it and I loaded way too much. And this one I probably loaded a little bit too much, but I just didn't stop hydrating it nearly. I stopped too soon. Should have just kept adding water. And there are some soaps that feel like they are thin and they don't need any more water. But in reality, they're ready to go. They're ready to get more water. You just it's like they haven't activated yet. Some reaction with the water and the soap just hasn't happened yet to start, building it and have it be a lather. Now, the very fact that there are these shapes here on my beard tells me it's still possible that this lather could use more water. But let's just shave anyway. All right, with the grain, nice and light. You don't have to try to get all of the hair off first pass. Some people do. Some people will buff, which is kind of like this. You're going over the same area, kind of in short strokes. And so some people will actually do it all in one pass. I don't think that's the majority. But if it makes you happy and it works for you, go for it. All right, let's rinse. Now I added 2 more teaspoons, maybe more of water, because that first brush load of lather was so concentrated that I may have added 4 teaspoons to that. And I kept raking stuff into the bowl that I thought, gonna reprogram the bowl here. And it is now much more elastic after adding that water, as you can see. Look at that, just collapsing in on itself. And as you can see, just 25 seconds of loading and I've got tons. Look at that. Look at that. And I've got tons of this soak going on. That is awesome. That is awesome. Now, and so when I go in to feel it, it's the same thing. It's the same story. The creaminess and the viscosity, the cushion is there, and I like it a little bit better than Stirling. But then when I get to my actual fingertips and I'm rubbing it, it's very slick. Don't get me wrong, but that feeling I like with Stirling better. And so it's kind of the one has kind of like the pretty girl versus the smart girl. You know, you enjoy if you're dating, you know, you enjoy the conversation and the very interesting interactions with the smart girl, but you like looking at the pretty girl, and so that's kind of like what we have here. But the good news is that both soap bases are terrific. You can see now this is definitely more hydrated. It's not quite gathering up on the sides near my beard and stuff where the first pass was. Feels great, and this is working nicer with the brush. I think this brush works better with a well-hydrated lather. Just kind of seems to. All right, second pass, cross grain now. Keeping a light touch on the razor. On my neck, I mainly just do cross grain passes. And I can go pretty fast. If you're a new shaver, I was talking to somebody about this just the other day. If you're a new shaver, don't go this fast. Take your time. Do it right. Right is better than fast with shaving, in my opinion. Man, this smells so good. The slickness here on my skin is terrific. Man, that is good. Oh, what a good scent. I love this. All right, rinse time. So it looks like with what I did and how much lather I ended up with, 25 seconds was at least twice as much as I needed to do. Isn't that wild? Definitely some soaps out there that creams and crops and stuff that require 30 seconds of loading. There we go. So this is what I have left. I did 3 passes and I've still got this much left. I mean, I don't even know how many passes that, 5 passes maybe? That is magic right there. That's awesome. That is awesome. Wow. Okay, third pass. I especially tend to take the shorter strokes when I'm in a curvy area of my face, like down here on my neck. And that helps me to always keep the razor in the right angle. And if I try to do a long stroke, then you have to worry about changing the angle as you go. Sure, that's a skill, but I just as soon kind of change the angle in minute increments, because then I can feel it, and then I can react to that feeling with the short strokes. By the time you feel it and then react, if you do one stroke, it's too late. You've already passed that area over. And there we go. In most cases, I will just take my razor, put it on a washcloth over here. Top cap, quick disassembly. And I'll place the razor on the washcloth too. Just tap it a little bit to pat it dry, just very carefully and softly. No wiping. And rinse, full rinse. With the ease that I was just zipping around, gave myself just a little bit of irritation down here. And that's kind of where the beard stops. It's past that point. So that skin is a little more sensitive. And so that's my fault. User error, went down too far. And if I would have been careful and a little bit slower, I can go down that far, but with care and the right angle, I can shave over that and not have it get irritation. Unfortunately, I combined the two. I went too far, and I probably pressed a little too hard. And so it's, but it's very minor. It's the kind of thing a balm is going to take away in a few minutes. Well, another authentic sandalwood scent is something I got years ago. Lather and Wood Sandalwood balm. And my face is still wet, and that'll help this to spread easily. Just a little goes a long way with this. But I don't know, with my skin, it just irritates a little bit if I put it on dry. I almost have to use too much product to prevent that irritation. And so I do move my hand in the direction of hair growth, and that helps to minimize friction. All right. I've had that Lather and Wood for a long time. Just don't use it too much. My wife didn't really like sandalwood. So, and it's a little more woody. There's some kind of almost like a cologne scent or something that adds a twist to the wood, the sandalwood scent in the Fine Absolut is my guess. But maybe they're just taking different kinds of sandalwood or processing it a different way. Maybe the Fine Absolut is Santal Absolut is a pure sandalwood. It's possible that's the case. And there's just a variant, you know. All right. Yeah, I'm really happy with this shave. So, am I able to say which I like better? I'm going to clean up my gear and think about that. Well, as I'm mulling it over, let's take a look at this lather. How much I've got left. What it looks like in terms of viscosity. I like to put my hands together like this and then pull it apart and see how gravity affects it. Look at that. That's what we want right there. Look at that. Move back so it drops in the sink. I mean, that's properly hydrated in my book. Just the way I like it. You may not like yours that way, but That is just tremendous. Yeah, a few micro bubbles, a good many actually, but they're very tiny, and they're not like some of the vegan soaps. They're not, it doesn't make the lather feel airy at all. You know, it's still very creamy, got a wonderful creamy feel. See, that's less of a test to me when you do that. You can see a little bit of the gravity acting on it, but because the hands are vertical, it lets a lot of the lather hold itself up. And this way, we can pull them apart like that and really watch the gravity and the elasticity of the lather in action. I think the Fine might be my favorite by a small margin because of the way this lather feels right here. Now the Stirling did make my face feel silky after the second pass and the same after the third. And so the face feel was better than this. But this, in terms of luxury lather feel, in just working with this one, this is the one right here. The Stirling did excel in the contact slickness, like I mentioned. The slickness as the razor is touching my face, as my fingers are rubbing the lather. This slickness is a little less buttery, a little less, yeah, kind of oily, buttery. But it's super serviceable, works really well. It's more like a watery slickness, and maybe a watery slickness in a good way, unlike some of the vegan soaps. But man, this just feels, it just feels decadent. Works great, smells great, takes water like a champ. So to me, just because of this creamy feel while being really well hydrated, the Fine wins by a narrow margin. You're not going to be unhappy if you like the lathers, the kind of lathers that I like, with either soap. They are wonderful. Wonderful. I'm glad I finally got this one hydrated properly. So much. I'm really curious how many uses, how many passes I'm going to get as I use this 15 times. I don't even know how to count this. It's important that I count it right. I mean, I think I probably had 12 passes of lather here that I'm playing with, from just 25 seconds of loading plus the extra soap that came from the bloom water. Whew. And how am I going to press the pause button while I clean up? Do I have a digit that's not? Let me try this here. Well, I didn't say much about this razor today because I was so focused on the lather, but this is a smoother razor. This UK version of the Tech is a smoother razor than the American Techs. The American Techs are really cheap, $9 on eBay approximately, for just a decent grade one. And this is a little bit more, but man, it's worth it. If you like a smooth shave, very controlled, I think it locks down the blade really nicely. Not a lot of audio as you're working. I think it's really consistent, and I think it is kind of deceptively capable of handling, you know, lots of hair. It almost doesn't feel mild, but it acts mild. It feels like it's capable of taking down a bunch of hair if it needs to, but it feels so consistent and controlled that you feel like it's going to help your skin to stay safe as you do it, no matter what you do. And so I really like that in a razor, and it's working really well with the Gillette Silver Blue blades. So for me, the Fine Accoutrements lather edged out the Stirling by a narrow margin. And so they're both winners. They're both awesome. But I wanted to step in and say that I like a really wet, well hydrated, yet still elastic lather. And so that's the direction that I went. It's possible it could be a different result. If you like your lather a little more dry, a little less water in it. It's possible that one or the other, you might switch and like Stirling a little better because of that. Well, we just can't lose. We've got some great soap makers out there. Anywhere from the top tier stuff like Declaration Grooming, Noble Otter, Barrister and Man, to Storybook and Summer Break, Southern Witchcrafts, just terrific makers that are out there right now. And then of course you've got the tobacco, hard soaps like D.R. Harris Tobacco, Mitchell's Wool Fat, Williams, Arco, just make terrific lathers. And so we've got all a big spectrum of soaps to choose from. So these two budget guides I just wanted to kind of work on and just kind of figure out the nuances, because I just know that in the past I've used both of them a lot and enjoyed them immensely. And so in summation, that contact slickness I like with the Stirling a little better, but the cushiony slickness of the Lather was better with the Fine. The face feel afterwards was better with the Stirling. Both of them very easy to work up, a good lather. And so, but mainly because that feel, the cushiony feel, was better with the Fine. That's what won the day, because even though that contact slickness and that didn't really transfer to enough of a difference in the way the razor felt on my face, in my protection, because the Fine protected me well enough to enjoy a great shave. And so then that cushiony feel just felt more luxurious and just indulgent, spoiled me. So there we go. Fine wins by a hair, pun intended. All right. Well, hey, I sure learned something today. I hope there was something here for you that helps you out. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You take care. Good night.